what is the next stage for a guy like me, right? I mean, 40 employees to go to 400.
Harvard Business said when a business grows by 47%, its infrastructure shot. In my business, I went through a decade where we grew on average 49% a year. The culture difference between 100 and 200 is radical. Between 200 and 400 is unrecognizable.
How do you maintain that level of consistency? How do you even stay in business that long?
You know why you're thinking that way?
So tell me, you know, obviously you've seen this story play out because you've experienced it. What is the next stage for a guy like me, right? I mean, 40 employees to go to 400 employees.
Yeah.
Like, what is the difference?
Whew. How long do we have? I'll say this. Don't set a goal on how many employees you want to have.
Okay.
That would be my first recommendation. Because you think like it's a badge of honor. Oh, like now I'm the man. You know, the difference between 50 and 100 is radical. Radical. Two completely different businesses. Here's a couple of things if it's worth your while.
Yeah.
Harvard Business said when a business grows by 47%, its infrastructure shot. The current infrastructure you have today, you grow your business by 47%, you have to reinvent your infrastructure. In my business, I went through a decade where we grew on average 49% a year. You are having to reinvent the system and reinvent the wheel.
Every year.
I mean, and then you're going, okay, forget this. We got to get a couple of years ahead of it. And then you can make investments. Oh, by the way, I made these massive investments and here comes a worldwide economic recession based in real estate.
Now we don't even need them.
Okay. And now it's like, I have all this buildings, I have all this fixed expense and so on and so forth. So I would say, make sure it's busting out the seams. You know, make sure everybody's optimized, fired up and doing it. The culture difference between 100 and 200 is radical. Between 200 and 400 is unrecognizable. And so, you know, you have your culture. You guys are entrepreneurs. Everybody's into it. I talked to the receptionist and everybody's got a smile on their face and they're fired up. And, oh, you're getting to meet Ryan. You're going to be in the studio. It's great stuff. Get to 400 people. They're like, who's Ryan? Is he here? Oh, he's the guy with the beard. Yeah. Okay. You know, I'll give you, you ready? Yeah. I shouldn't do this, but I'll tell you a little story.
Okay.
So I walk into my building. I got 440 employees and coaches. We have about 100 coaches. And they were all out having some kind of pizza party or something like whatever else. And I'm a very affectionate guy and I really like my staff and I know the majority of them. So one at a time, this one coach who'd worked for me for 20 years walks in, Brian, comes over, gives me a hug. Well, they're all walking into the headquarters. I'm caught in the lobby. One by one, Brian, I'm giving him a hug, giving him a hug, giving him a hug, giving him a hug. So finally there's this gal at the end. I said, well, I'm not going to leave you out. And I give her a hug. And she kind of was like this, kind of a cold fish. I'm like, oh, okay, I might be personal space issues or something and whatever else. I go to walk away and my receptionist, who's still my receptionist today, Rainey, she goes, Brian, that last lady was the pizza delivery girl.
You don't know.
I just hugged her. I didn't know. I used to know their pet names and their kids and whatever else. And now I'm hugging the pizza delivery gal because I think she works for me. The same heart, same motivation, different company. So I think this, in my advice, whatever it's worth for you, clearly defined goals. And one of the goals is who you want to be. Who you want to be. And there's lots of people out there. I can take a little bit of this and I take a little bit of that. They've got a model. I can follow that. But I'll be the best version of you. You know? Like, I'm not going to try to be Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey shouldn't try to be Brian Buffini. I'd be a lousy Dave Ramsey. And he doesn't have an Irish accent.
Yep.
So, you know, have clear-cut goals. I would be voracious and focus on who you're trying to serve and where you're trying to get them. And then never lose the contact with your customer that you know what their need is. Because once you know what their need is, you can meet their need. And that will drive you. You might end up being a 4,000 person company if that's where the need drives you.
Right.
But I would say keep the focus on the customer. And if you do that, what their need is, how can we serve you? How can we do better? They'll bring you places. Some of our, like, for example, you go to a church?
Yep.
Are you in a small group?
Yep.
Okay.
We have a, one of our we have a nonprofit.
Great.
Where we start small groups all across the country for entrepreneurs.
Great.
Yeah.
So we have 390 small groups.
Okay.
That meet every month here in the US.
Okay.
We have a facilitator and a host. Well, one of the
These
largest,
are real estate small groups or Bible studies?
No, these are real estate small groups. Well,
Okay.
where did I get the how to do it? The largest independent, non-denominational church in San Diego, the pastor was a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he had his guy that built his small groups because we're helping people grow, develop. We wanted to build a sense of community. Mm-hmm. So we brought him in, made a donation to his church, and they helped us build small groups so people could connect together.
Yeah.
Right. So, that happened because our members started meeting. And they started having these groups themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you doing this? So your customers have your best ideas. Your customers, I didn't think of that. I'm like, why would you want to get together? Oh. And then when there was 5 of them and then 6 of them, it started in Arizona and it spread to Vegas. And our clients were meeting every month. I'm like, why are you doing this? And then we go, okay, if we're going to formalize it, we need to go outside, get some help.
Yeah.
And now let's systemize what our customers already want. And now people love it in our coaching program. They have a group of peers. They send each other referrals. They brainstorm, and they got people in common.
Are they virtual small groups or in person?
No, they meet in person. Now, during COVID, they learned how to do COVID in person and virtual. And then some people have hybrids.
Yeah.
But the big principle there is, I never thought of that idea. Mm-hmm. Our customers thought of that idea.
Yeah.
And the more you're in touch with your customers, they're going to give you ideas you never even thought about.
Yeah. One thing Dave said to me that was interesting because anytime I can meet a guy who's been in the game a long time, like I was telling Dave, I was like, dude, the thing, I used to be a hater of Dave, just talking about debt and stuff.
Sure.
And us as real estate guys were like, well, we love debt, right? Yeah. But as time went on, obviously I grew up, and the thing that I admire most about him is his longevity and his consistency. Yep. It's like, dude, you don't got to guess what he believes. No. Has been the same thing for 30 some years. And I go, and he's been doing the same talk show for 30 some years.
5 days a week.
Yeah. 3 hours a day. He don't stop.
Relentless.
And he don't need to keep doing it, but he keeps doing it. And I was just like, dude, like, how do you maintain that level of consistency? How do you even stay in business that long? Because we all know through the different recessions, technology changes, competition, there's always some new hot thing going on, right? Like what I now respect is people who have been at it for a long time. Because now I haven't even been in business that long. Yeah. And I've seen so many people.
You know why you're thinking that way?
Why?
Because you know you're going to make it. When you first start, we're all the same. Am I going to make it? Yeah. Am I going to survive? Am I going to get it going? How do I get this plane off the ground? Yeah. How do I keep it off the ground? Yeah. Well, you're starting to think about that now because you're like, I am going to make it. Yeah. Like, this is real. Yep. Like, actually, I'm really successful. This is really going. Yeah. Now, who's been doing it for 3 decades? Exactly. And so I asked him and he said, the key here is that your process is always changing, but your purpose doesn't. And he goes, dude, we've tried Facebook ads. We've tried, everyone told me that Sirius XM was going to be the next big thing. And maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, we'll try that. It'll be a new process, but we're not going to stop normal radio. And then, podcasting becomes a thing and everybody was charging for it initially. I was like the first podcast in this thing. And, we gave it away for free. Like, so our process over these years has always changed. Yep. And it's still changing. Yeah. But our purpose and our mission never changed. Yeah. And I thought that was super powerful because sometimes as an innovator and a visionary, I'm like always having a million ideas. And then it's like, we're always testing new things. Yep. And it was kind of like permission of like, no, you have to be constantly trying and testing things. I had to learn expensively because I'm the same way. We're all the same. All innovators, creators are all the same. Is the difference between an idea and a strategy. Because we have ideas and ideas can cost money. Yeah. And time. And the bigger you get, what happens is you have 2 dynamics. One is a fear-based thing, which is now you have something to lose. Yep. And now the second thing is it's harder to move the ship the bigger it gets. Yeah. You can't pivot as quickly. Pivot as quickly. And here's the thing. You don't need to. Always. Because you've got this momentum behind you. So now it becomes, okay, what's the one grand idea this year? As opposed to when you're starting, what's the 15 I'm going to try? Yeah. We don't know what works. I was here yesterday. The top virtual event studio in the country's here. And we put on a virtual event for our clients and just tested it out. It was a new deal for me. It wasn't like the convention centers and the ballrooms I used to be in and all that kind of good stuff. And it was cool. It was cool. It had the same principles, the same purpose, but now with a new idea. So great. That's the hot new idea for us this year. And we're going to do more and more of this stuff and make it totally interactive. And so great. I used to be able to do one of those a month.
Yeah. Trying something new every single month. But now you can't do that.
Which is addictive, which is great. It's full of dopamine. As you become a big leader, what happens is the tail behind you gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
Hang on, I was working on your last idea. You know the one that you've forgotten about? I'm still trying to implement it.
Yeah, you know what? That idea, I'm over that idea. Let's do this other idea.
Exactly. Yeah. There's things inside my company that people take very seriously that I haven't thought about in decades, and they think it's the biggest thing in the world. And when I find out about it, I'm like, oh, we're still doing that. You know?
Yeah.
It happens.
So what does your time look like spent today with what you do?
In a day?
Yeah.
So my business is in somewhat of a transition for me because I'm in the stage now. I've got the empty nest going on, So I built a business that was built around my family. So my principles first. I was in a business where multiple divorces and screwed up kids were the order of the day. Everybody wants to be the motivational speaker. You might want not look behind a curtain very often.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, every single one of these guys, I don't want to say every single, but a high majority of these guys, I mean, think about it. If you're on the road all the time speaking, right. How can your family life be good?
Right. So the only way I could figure that out, and again, this is a sacrifice. Now, this is not a piece of information I would give anybody, but this is what would work. I bought a Learjet. Warren Buffett, who has a few more books than I do, says it's the indefensible. So for a company the size of mine to buy a Learjet, and I had a Learjet for 3 of them for 17 years. That doesn't make sense. I could have put that money into investments and this and that and the other and whatever else. Why did it make sense? Because I was home every night. Because I coached my kids. I was in Houston in the morning. I coached my kids and then had dinner together.
Yeah.
I'm married 35 years. I got 6 great kids. Life is blessed.
Yep.
And I didn't give up that to pursue the brass ring of the money. Ask the guys. There's plenty of guys, broke billionaires.
Yeah.
Who they made the money and lost everything in the pursuit of it.
Yeah.
That's what it talks about. What does it profit a man? Gain the whole world, lose his own soul.
Yeah.
You can do it. Ambition is a fantastic thing. The key is to have a healthy ambition. So I made the sacrifice. I would have a much higher, greater net worth today if I didn't own 3 Learjets back in the day.
Right.
So, and then when the time came and I was great, we'd built the business to a certain point. I went, fine, I'll build a little podcast studio, sell the plane. Well, now I'm in the stage of life where my kids are all grown. They're all getting married. I got grandkids.
Yep.
And so now I'm at a stage where life is good. And so I've done all kinds of things, and I'm not going to give you big time, all the different who's who I've met and presented in my life. I was fired up to come here today because I see someone like yourself who's having influence and having influence on this next generation of people coming up in the game of real estate, investing, and so on and so forth. I couldn't have been more fired up today to be here, to talk to someone who's got influence to help all those folks. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. So my goal is to do more of that and to help out. And I've been, there was an old commercial. It was a baseball thing. Baseball been very, very good to me.
Okay.
Remember that? It was a famous line. It was I'm trying to think, it might've been Clemente or someone like that. And a baseball been very, very good to me. Well, real estate been very, very good to me.
Yeah.
And life's been very good to me. And so I'm at a season in my life where I want to give back. I want to share the information. I want to help people. There's a lot of stuff online, and you get the headlines and you get the this and that. And there's a lot of bad advice online.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, anyone can have a platform. It's funny because so this was my second book, Wealthy Way. And it's kind of what you're talking about. The subtitle is Don't Go Broke Trying to Get Rich.
Love it.
So it's the same concept.
What's the principles?
Well, you got to live the wealthy way, right? And it's literally what you've been talking about. And it's the same thing I've been living even when I was broke financially. Yeah. Right? Like, because a lot of people think, oh, how'd you build it? You must have grinded it out all these years. Like, when were you doing the 80-hour work weeks? I was like, I literally was never. And they're like, no, but like, when you're not now, but when? I go, I was never. I don't know. I'm telling you, this is what I did. And it was always, I'm married 11 years now. I got 3 kids under 5. Awesome. So I'm like in the thick of it. I can make every excuse. I'm in the building stage of entrepreneurship and wealth and life. And from the beginning, I'm like, dude, I don't work weekends. I work here 9 to 5. I'm out. I'll have dinner with my family every night. You know, I'm going to be at my Bible study. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to be, you know, in great shape. Yeah. Like, because if any of those areas are jacked up, you're screwed. Yeah. Like if your marriage is on the rocks, it's going to affect you in business and everything else. If your health sucks, you can't do anything. It just is what it is. And then if your faith is lacking, well, then you're just eternally, it doesn't even matter any of this. So,
and here's what I believe. So again, the millennials have been the most maligned generation in history of mankind by X's and boomers. And what I go is, I think millennials and the Z's have it better because they realize they don't want to sell their soul. Yeah. So I think your message is very timely. I think your methods are very timely because you're like, hey, the real key is not the hours you put in, it's what you get out of your hours.
Correct.
Right? So you're not scrolling for 4 hours. Your phone doesn't say, oh, you were on, your phone time was 9 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? You're not. You got to get in, you bust it, get it done, make sure your time is extraordinarily high leveraged, and then self-care, personal care, living the good life with all the other good stuff. So, you know. Yeah. Now, some people want to be on a hammock at 27. And if they inherited a lot of money, maybe that's the chance. Or maybe they're the one that hits the lick. Or, you know, what happens is you got the one person, right? You get the story, you get the name. This person went to Vegas and hit the thing. This person made $1 million in 12 days on Bitcoin. This person, and you'll have that your whole life. Yeah. You'll have that. And, oh, this person's doing better than me. And this person's, you sound like you're standing on the freeway while the cars are going by.
Well, and you're like, oh, I missed out. Yeah. I should have bought Bitcoin when it was $100. Yeah. And it's like, well, you can still just make it. Yeah, right. You just got to commit to better actions every day. Yeah, no, that's great. I love, you know, what you're doing is great. Yeah. What you're doing is great. What do you think about, you know, you've talked about faith a lot. How have you incorporated that into your company and events and everything else? Well, who you are speaks louder than what you say. Mm-hmm. St. Augustine said, share the gospel at all times, but only use words if absolutely necessary. Now, I'm a guy, you know, I'm nothing without my faith. And the reason I when I had this terrible motorcycle accident, I was incapacitated for a while, and all I did was study. I was 19 years old. I studied the Bible. I can tell you that the principles I got from that period of time, being stuck for 6 months, I was getting my real estate license proactively, and you could only go so fast then. There wasn't online training. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, I studied the scriptures and all of the principles. There's the richest man who ever lived wrote a lot of the Bible. His name was Solomon. There's great principles in there, and I learned those things. And so then I applied them to my life, and I applied them to my business. And then I've tried to stay true to that. My business is built on 7 biblical principles. And so that's the stuff. I don't ever beat people over the head with it. It's, you know, it's who I am, but uncompromisingly so in my own life. Yeah. You know, I've had lots of opportunities in businesses and this and that and the other. And it's like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And so, and that's why you can still enjoy it. You got to be able to, you know, my Zig Ziglar used to say, money can buy you a bed, but it can't buy you a good night's sleep. So you got to be able to have that good night's sleep, living by your values. And doesn't mean there's not bumps on the road. Marriages it's work. Raising kids, not easy. But it's the greatest thing in the world. And you want to be able to have a business that supports that, not tears it down. Yeah. No, I love it. What do you think? You mentioned this, like things are hard and you're going to make mistakes. What do you think's like one of the biggest mistakes or failures you made? Oh, how long do we have? I got all day. I wrote a book one time. It was called Taking Care of Business. And in the intro to the book, I said, here's the 10 biggest mistakes I've made in business. Okay. And each one of them was a business that had a clang to it, you know? I think you got to know your strengths, but you got to know your blind spots. You got to know what your blind spots are. And then you got to have people and processes around you that protect you against your blind spots. We'll make the same mistake over and over again if we don't grow. Mm-hmm. So I'd say make sure you know what your blind spots are. I would say this, if I can, you know, I'm not trying to turn this into Grandpa's advice show here today. If I could say this,
if I'd have known how well my kids would have turned out, I would have worried an awful lot less.
So do you think you lived with a lot of stress and
just more than I needed?
Yeah.
You know, when you're parenting, you're trying not to screw them up more, and you're trying to turn out great people.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to screw them up and I would say it's even more intense today. You know, one of the things we would travel with 6 kids, and before we had the plane, you get in a commercial plane. Now today, people are like Sherpas getting on planes. They get the this and the that and the cradles and so a lot of modern parenting is like avoiding the mistake. I don't want any bad thing to happen to my kid, and when adversity is what makes us, right? So I just, like I said, and I think even for myself, if I'd have known how well everything turned out, I'd have worried less myself.
Yeah.
I'd have worried less about the money. I'd have worried less about the business or the future. And so whatever that's worth to you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I walked here today. I know what I saw here today because I've lived it for 3 decades.
Yeah.
And I was very excited by what I saw here today.
What do you think would be the future of your company, right? I was talking to Dave about this, right? When it's personality driven, it's got your name on it, and you've been at the head for 30 years. Do you think about succession or maybe selling one day? How does all that play out?
Well, all of the above. It depends the kind of business you built.
Right.
So, if you're going to sell one day, it's what is the revenue stream that is repeatable, that doesn't have your name next to it. So if someone wants to buy your business, it's like, okay, how much revenue do you have coming in the door that's repeat, whether it's subscription or projective revenue, that is not specifically generated or facilitated by you personally. So that becomes the asset value. So are you building an asset or are you building an income? If you're building an income, then the goal is to leverage the income and then buy assets.
Yeah. It's a cash business.
Right. So so that's that dynamic. But I would say this, always view your business as an asset. And I would also say personally view yourself as an asset. That's why personal growth and development and training and coaching make sense. Ben Franklin was America's first millionaire.
I didn't know that.
He said if a person will take their purse and invest it in their head, it's the investment that pays the greatest dividend and no one can ever take it away from you.
Yeah.
So, and you've obviously done a lot of that. And then you provide a lot of that. So invest in yourself. But the second thing is view your business as an asset. Okay. What is the business worth? What's the asset worth?
Yeah.
Itself. One of the things people don't realize is when they invest in real estate, that it's a business.
Yeah, the property itself is a business.
Managing real estate and handling it's a business.
Yeah.
Like that's a business. It has to be managed like a business. So what's the asset value? So it's like, what's the repeatable revenues? And so it's all about what you want. Sometimes you can do a joint venture. Sometimes you partner up. Distribution and capital will always be the constriction. So how do you expand your distribution? How do you keep capital? You need capital to expand. Why do companies go public?
Get more capital.
More capital. And so the goal is capital for more distribution. So sometimes you could partner up with people and you go, hang on a second here. You guys do this, we do that. How about we send you some of our clients, you send you some of your clients, things like that. So joint ventures, partnerships, but view it as an asset.
Yeah.
And there's different seasons coming for you and it's great. You are in the middle you are at the circle of the storm. Absolutely fantastic. 3 kids under 5.
Yeah.
I call that life in the blender. Okay. Life in the blender. It's the greatest. You are living today, the good old days. You are right now, the good old days. These are the good old days. I have a CFO that's been with me for 22 years. And he was talking to me the other night and he goes, man, I remember we'd sit on the plane after doing an event. We'd just done a great job and made a bunch of sales and we'd be having a nice meal and telling great stories. And he had all these people who've been with me for, years. It was just great camaraderie and fun. He goes, man. And the thing I remember is that we knew those were the good old days. I have a very successful business today. It's different than that.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So you're, from what I see, in the middle of the good old days. You're in the middle of it. Enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It'll grow and it'll be bigger. It'll be that. It'll be this. Oh, great. But you're having a good time now and enjoy it.
Yeah. How do you know when is the right time to sell? I'm sure you guys have been offered over the years and other things. Like what, I guess, has prevented you from selling? Because, you guys have, I don't even know, but I'm sure you've done hundreds and hundreds of millions in revenue. So like what's
more than $1 billion.
Over $1 billion in sales.
So let me ask you this. When did you know it was time to start this business?
Well, as far as real estate goes, I had no choice. I'm like, I need to make money.
Yeah.
As far as coaching goes, when the demand, well, I had already had so many people like, dude, teach me how to do it. Teach me how to do it. Like, it was just like, dude. So at first I didn't even want to coach. I just wrote a book. I was like, read the book. I'm tired of explaining this over and over again. Just read the book. Here's the manual. And then I saw Russell Brunson speak in 2018. He's like, dude, you can just create a course and sell your knowledge. I was like, oh, okay. So I created a course in 2018. Still didn't coach. I'm like, I don't want to be hands-on. I'm busy doing my own thing. But I didn't start coaching until 2020. Yeah.
So, but you knew it was a time to start.
Yeah.
And there's an excitement to that. And there's momentum to that. You'll start to get a feeling when it's time to stop. And being a person of faith, we have the advanced version of that called the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
And you'll start to get a sense of things. And so it's not an idea, and it's not Jerry Maguire. I had a bad piece of pizza and I wrote a mission statement, who's coming with me? I got the fish. But you'll know when it's time or if it's time.
Right.
And for Dave Ramsey, he built out his network of speakers. He's done diversification.
Yeah, he's been clearly planning.
And he's got Rachel Cruz, his daughter, who's fabulous, by the way, a great woman. And so that's the way he's chosen to go. And I've got a lot of options in front of me right now, and I'm weighing it up. But it's not totally clear to me at this stage. The good news is keep creating asset value. You keep getting better and better offers. Yeah. Better opportunities. So yeah, it's good time to be doing it. But like I say, I would look at myself, if I was 35 looking at Brian Buffini, and I go, man, he has everything I'm hoping for. And I look at you and I go, man, what would I give to be sitting back in his seat? You follow me?
Yeah.
Because I have the outcome and the result, but you're in the middle of the juice of building, creating, making it happen, figuring it out.
Yeah.
Trying to figure it out with your family and then helping people out. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Where do you see the world going with AI and the market? And we got Trump coming in. Would you agree there's going to be more changes than ever before with just all this stuff happening?
100%. 100%. I mean,
I feel like you can't just be like, oh, well, we're going to run the same playbook, that we've been running. It's all just changing so quickly.
Yeah. Well, they say don't bring your disco moves to a hip hop world, right?
Yeah.
So I would say AI. I mean, we're actually launching AI programs ourselves this year. You have to. AI now. The thing that happens is people abdicate to technology. Oh, it's just going to do everything for me. And it'll be sold that way. AI will find you the house. It'll do the fix up. It'll remodel your bathroom. Cold calling for you. It'll do whatever else. It'll do everything, and then it'll put the kids in bed, and you go to the beach. That's how it'll be sold.
Yeah.
And there's a lot. And by the way, the reason why people get taken advantage of by scams like that is they want to be taken advantage of. Okay, they
want to believe it's true.
They want to believe it's true. You mean I get to do no work, make no sacrifice? There's no hardship in this thing at all. Great. Where do I sign? And you'll be signed, then they sign up for the next thing, okay? So AI is brilliant in regards to the ability to create efficiencies, effectiveness, things like content, development, communication, processes. There's some brilliant, it's staggering, and the speed of AI is staggering.
Yeah.
There's always going to be things that people need. So for example, food, shelter, clothing. Those have been around for thousands of years. And they'll be around for thousands of years in the future.
Yeah.
People providing value. For example, I was at the studio yesterday. We had multiple languages tuning in from different parts of the world. They have an AI translation system.
It's just translating you instantly.
And we didn't use it.
Oh.
We brought in people.
Wow.
Because the AI can't communicate emotion. It can't communicate satire. And it can't communicate humor.
Right.
Which for an Irishman, that's the worst thing in the world.
Right.
So it's coming.
Yeah.
As far as Trump's concerned and what's coming on, its game is on. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, who just had his hearing yesterday, is a good friend of mine, Scott Turner. They're coming to make changes.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of time to think about it. And you'll see a lot of deals coming down the pike. You'll see Trump's a deal maker. They're going to streamline some processes. It's going to be hard at the beginning because the market's funky right now. The rates are funky. It takes a while to make changes. The big bills won't come in. There'll be a lot of executive orders. But I'll say this. do the work now. Like you plant seeds in the springtime so you can harvest in the fall.
Yeah.
2026, it'll be game on.
You think it's just going gangbusters?
It will be. I know it. And there will be, at every level of the market, there's going to be deals in regards to not just real estate deals, but there's going to be deals where acquisition has been held up with big companies that then goes down into mid-sized companies that then goes down into small companies. There's going to be money that's sitting on the sidelines that's going to be incentivized to come into the market. Okay? I do believe on the real estate side of things, they're going to have to put, like Blackstone and those boys being in the marketplace, I'm sure you bump into them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some work there. There's an awful lot of real estate in the hands of giant corporations right now, single-family homes.
What do you think they're going to force them to sell, or?
I think they're going to make them a commitment that they can only hold a certain level of their portfolio. Now, that's going to be a fight because the lobbyists run Washington.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's a heck of a lot of real estate held in, not just, Blackstone is obviously the giant of all giants, but there's a bunch of other mid-range companies. You know, a friend of mine, he owns a Canadian company and they have 16,000 homes in America. You know, I mean, that's who your people are competing with.
Yep.
That's who my agents are competing with. And that's who a first-time buyer's competing with.
Yeah.
And so they'll come in, the house is worth 400 grand and the investor will pay it for 450. And they don't think twice about it.
Yep.
Because they're renting it out, they're looking at it, they're trading at X many times earnings.
Yep.
You follow me? So I do think you're going to see some changes there tactically. That is definitely coming because they've squeezed out the homeowner and construction can't keep up. We've had a shortage of housing for 14 years, and it's not going to get fixed anytime soon. I lost my house in a fire in 2007. Those people who lost their houses in California, I don't care what they say, it's going to take forever to get them rebuilt.
At least 5 years.
Probably 5. You're dealing with the Coastal Commission in California?
Yeah, I know.
So where
California permitting.
You know where they were last weekend? My daughter is currently managing a coffee shop in San Diego. She said the place was filled with LA license plates.
They're all going to San Diego.
San Diego. They're going everywhere. They'll be here in Vegas.
Yep.
They'll be buying houses 2 at a time here in Vegas.
Yep.
They go, what? What? That's 2 million? I'll take 2 of them. Right?
Yeah. What do you think happens to SoCal right now with all that? Well, I guess, you know, the LA area and all that.
Yeah. I'm hoping. I mean, I have never answered a political question in my life because you piss off half your audience.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that California I've been everywhere in the world you can imagine. I have homes in many places. California is a jewel. It is the most amazing place I've ever been to in my life. And it is the worst run entity I have ever seen.
Yeah.
It is a criminal.
Yeah.
To how poorly that state's been run with zero accountability. And everyone I talk to says it and thinks it, and then they get a chance to vote. So it's tough. It's tough. They really force you out. If you're successful in California, they are begging you to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So hopefully people at some point in time just say enough is enough. I'll say this. Divided government works. One party rule doesn't.
Right. Yeah, I bet you. Dude, if California ever went Republican, then there would be no race. Like it would just always be Republican.
Well, let me say this. If California ever cut the red tape and cut its taxes, they'd need to build 20 million more homes.
Yeah, because everyone would move there.
Of course. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I live in a place that's 74 degrees year round. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And
people are nice and it's a great spot. I love it. I'm 39 years there.
Yeah.
And so everyone leaves. I'm staying and fighting and doing the best I can, but they who knows?
Yeah.
It's on a knife's edge. I may have to leave one day.
Yeah. Most of my friends who've been on the show have left. You know, I had Ed Milet, who's coming on yours. He left. You know, we filmed our first podcast in his house in, I think it was Laguna. Mm-hmm. And he's like, dude, it's so great, but man, it's so poorly run. Yeah. So he went to Florida.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know Grant Cardone's like, he's now over there right now, like petitioning to get things changed and like going on a tour. I don't know if he's trying to go run for governor or what he's trying to do, but he ain't happy about it.
Yeah.
But he used to live there. And it sucks. It sucks that it's such a great state for what it is and the environment and everything else.
It was the land of opportunity and innovation and so on and so forth. And so we'll see, you know, things running. I'm in the game, real estate business a long time. Markets change.
Yeah.
Things change. People change. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, you know, again, at the end of the day, here's the real thing. Can you make money in today's market? Absolutely. Can you be successful in California? Absolutely. Can you make money when the rates are 8%? Absolutely. It's just sometimes a little harder.
Yeah.
It's just a little harder in California right now than it would be in many other places.
Realistically, where do you think realtors go in the long term, like as a profession?
Yeah, I think the real estate brokerage business is going to have to morph and change significantly.
Like kind of like what EXP and all them are doing, or how do you
Well,
see
to some degree. I mean, there's many models. There's a lot of models out there now, even beyond those guys.
Yeah.
So the brokerage business carries all the liability and gets very little of the upside.
I know. That's why I got rid of my brokerage.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense.
People are always going to look for someone to trust. And they go, oh, okay, Brian, you're the real estate advocate for real estate agents. Well, think about this. You sold your real estate brokerage when?
2 years ago-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And you got in when? When did you get in?
Well, as a broker?
Yeah.
We started in 2017.
Okay. So I would say the amount of technology that's available for a consumer to buy, find a home, do a transaction on their own since 2017 has quadrupled.
Yeah.
You can find a home. You got Zillow. You got all kinds of places you can go. There's all kinds of apps and processes you can do a real estate transaction on your own. You know that for sale by owners was the lowest number in history last year.
Wow.
It was 6%. And half of those were interfamily transfer.
Wow.
So the vast majority of people at a higher level than ever before are looking for a real estate professional.
Wow.
Now, the real estate professionals having to act a little different, charge a little different, work a little different. But more people, with all the technology that's out there, and you'd say, well, geez, this should make all realtors be obsolete like a travel agent. It's actually had the opposite effect. It's more complicated, more difficult, and people go, I'm busy, I have a life, and I need to make, this is my biggest investment. I need someone to take care of it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stakes are too high.
Yeah.
A travel agent's like, yeah, okay, I book a hotel. Like, what are we doing?
Okay. It was a bad breakfast. I'm not going back.
Yeah, like, but, you know, my only asset for most people, the biggest purchase of my life ever, you know, at 38 years old, first time home buyer, I don't know anything. Like, clearly, if I'm buying a house at 38, I probably haven't had like a ton of success yet, or else I would have bought one way earlier. Mm-hmm. And it's like, man, okay. Yeah, it'd be hard to trust.
Right.
I even see it on our side. So, you know, we do a lot of direct to seller marketing. And so I run.
Okay. How's that work?
So, I mean, I've done direct to seller in every way you can imagine. So, I mean, I've done a lot of the things the realtors do. Well, you know, we used to do cold calling, texting, direct mail, all that stuff. Then I was on TV for years. So I did TV commercials for about 4 years.
Nice.
And it was just me saying, hey, I want to buy your house. I'll give you a cash offer, you know, all that. And then last year, I mean, obviously I've been on social media for a while and I've been running social media ads for all my other businesses. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try going direct to seller on social media. So we started running Facebook ads, you know, saying, hey, we'll give you a cash offer on your home, all this stuff. And it's really interesting to see the different demographics and how they respond because, for example, if you cold call somebody, they don't trust you, right? It's an outbound dial. It's like, who are you? How'd you get my number? Right? On a TV commercial, we would get a ton of old people because old people watch TV. Younger people don't really watch cable as much. So a lot of these old people, they want to go on in-person appointments and have you look at their house. And it's very old school and they're not like tech savvy, right? Social media is so different than all of them in that they've been kind of Zillified, I would call it. And Open Door used to, like, the moment they submit, we call them and they're like, so yeah, like, what's the price?
Right.
And there's it was a transition for us because we are part, and I'm sure realtors are probably the same, where it's like, well, hey, we got to come meet you in person and like do a presentation and see the house and all this stuff. They don't want that.
Yeah.
They're way more like, yeah, just what's the price?
Right.
Like, Open Door gave me this price.
Right.
This person, like, where are you guys at?
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, if that price works, I'll sign the contract right now.
Right.
And I've never seen that in my career.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's that vein. And then add this, because this is where you guys can really kill it.
Okay.
At the beginning of the show, I said the average age of a seller last year was 63.
Yep.
Now, believe it or not, 63 and 70-year-olds, they're on social media too.
Yep.
Now, what they want to know, so you can call them and you can connect with them. They'll use social media to make sure that you're legit.
Yeah, research.
So don't have a goofy social media profile. Don't have no shirt on, drinking out of a beer bong on
Reposting memes
on your social media.
Yeah.
Because the person who wants to validate if you're for real. You know, so in the back end for older people, they use social media to see if you're legit.
Yep.
So now you call them, now you connect. Now they still might want it in person.
Yeah.
And by the way, you're going to see it in 2025. I believe the age will go up another year. I believe the average age will be 64 this year.
Wow.
Who has more equity?
These guys.
These guys. Okay. They're the ones with all the equity. And also, by the way, some of them want to pass on to their kid or grandkid. As, for example, one of the things we helped, we have a company in Arizona called Long Real Estate. They're a great company and just had their president out here at our event. Well, they have a bunch of over 55 communities in Tucson.
Yep.
So guess what? Grandma and grandpa want to leave the property,
but they can't,
to their grandchild.
Yeah.
And the grandchild's 28 years of age. So I ain't doing that.
What am I going to do with this?
So now you get this property. That's a fantastic opportunity in a 55 community by fixed turn, because they've got the 1970 decor on it, and the Rat Pack pictures on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Now you come in, fixed turn, and sell to an over 55 who's moving to Tucson.
Yep.
So that's where, again, know the demographics, know the numbers.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to share. I'll have some great data for you. I'll send you some of that.
Yeah.
It'll be great for future broadcasts for you. But now you have okay, great. I got the young person over here and I got this, and there's tech savvy. Now I got the person over here. They're not tech savvy, but I'm doing the cold calling, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the mailings.
Yep.
And now they check out to see if you're legit on social media, and they might need the appointment. So these are the folks. The older folks have all the real estate and all the equity.
Do you teach all your students and your clients to go after those kinds of people since they have the houses? So
you remember how you said, I just read the book, and why can't you read the book and do it?
Yeah.
And you realize that not everybody's Ryan Pineda.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I need coaching and training. So for example, our company provides all the marketing and resources for all our clients.
Right.
So millions of homes every month get the same marketing every month from our agents.
Yep.
We provide it to them. In fact, we mail it. Our partners actually here in Vegas, we mail it from a central place. We have email. We give them all the same social media posts, all that kind of stuff. And they kind of lay that groundwork down. Well, when we see the changes in the market, we adjust the marketing and so on and so forth. So last year, we started focusing, the number one reason why people are moving, 23% of all sellers moved was to be closer to family.
Yeah.
Great. So we're sending out marketing pieces going, hey, have you thought about being closer to home?
Yeah.
Being closer to family? Here's the benefits of being closer to family. It helps you live longer, richer life, da-da-da-da-dum. And so I actually looked at a piece of real estate in Nashville, Tennessee recently. Beautiful home. Actually, next door neighbor to Dave Ramsey. And I looked at this home, and the people were moving into Nashville proper. And I'm like, why are they moving into town? And then I asked, I said, they have grandkids? And they went, exactly. I have three grandkids, and they just moved out of town. And, not everybody has access to an airplane. But I mean, I don't want to live in Virginia. But if I couldn't get there quick and fast, I'd probably be buying a house there. So, you adjust your marketing to those dynamics. So people are older, people are richer. That's where all the equity is.
Mm-hmm.
And you better make sure that people who are trying to buy those, buy and fix and turn. And again, the older community, a lot of them haven't updated. You get into your house at a certain point, you're not going, what's the latest stone and tile and whatever else, and stuff's dated. So they're perfect for this.
Yep.
They don't want to do it. They don't want to have contractors coming in their house. They have lots of equity, so they're willing to give you a discount.
Yep. You just said something interesting that we started doing. So for years, all we did was coaching, and, it was great. And I've had tons of success. We've made great money. And this last about 6 months, I realized that people are valuing information and coaching less and less in just the entire marketplace, whereas information becomes more freely available. It's like, okay, what do you do, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you add beyond just learning how to flip a house, right? Mm-hmm. And community obviously plays a role, accountability, but I would still consider those parts of coaching. Mm-hmm. They're just different ways you would coach. So we started providing services like what you're talking about. So we started doing lead generation for them.
Yep.
And just that alone, I could not believe how much that skyrocketed everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I'd have known this 4 years ago, I would have just been, I could have been doing this the whole time.
Yes.
But then also like providing their CRM and providing like all the services they're going to pay for regardless.
Yeah.
They might as well just pay for them through you.
You're following my path. I have a CRM that has 22,000 users and because what you're doing is you're meeting the need of the market.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you're like, hey, get on the phone and cold call. Guess what people don't want to do?
Get on the phone and cold call.
Great. So that's the need.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I fill that gap for you, are you willing to pay for it?
Yep.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So great. So now you evolve and now you provide more value. You become more invaluable.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, hang on a second here. All my leads come from you guys.
You can't leave.
If I leave, I'm a moron.
Yeah. We got your CRM. We got your leads. We got your coaching. You don't have a business if you leave.
And here's the deal.
Yeah.
So I believe in business. I believe this with my employees, about me and me towards them. And I believe this towards my customers. I believe I need to be your best option and you need to be mine.
Yeah.
So for my customers, I don't expect people to stay loyal to me, whether their business has changed and life has changed just because of that. I need to be their best option today.
Yeah.
But also for customers, you need to be mine. If you're going to mistreat my staff or whatever else, you're gonzo.
Mm-hmm.
And then for my staff, we've won the best place to work in San Diego 7 years in a row.
Wow.
Okay. But with that premise is when you're here, you got to be my best option and we've got to be yours, which means it's like a fair competition.
Yeah.
You know, it's a fair competition. We want to pay you well, treat you well, enjoy your work, do that whole thing. And by the way, for that, you've got to do well, be in the game, whatever else. I mean,
yeah, weird. It's just everybody should just be excellent.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah. So I see that around the building here, just so you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, dude, I could talk to you all day about all this, and I know your time is valuable and you got things to be doing, but it really means a lot. You coming through, sharing your wisdom, being an example of consistency and longevity and providing so much value to the real estate industry as a whole. And so even for me, I'm excited that you're getting out more on the tour with these different things. Yeah. And, hopefully it's the first of, a lot of things that we could do together.
For sure. Well, honored to be here. Congratulations on everything you're doing. Fired up to meet your team and what you're doing. And if I could, like I say, these are the good old days. Yeah. Enjoy the heck out of them, bro.
Yeah. Where can people find you if they're realtors trying to get help and everything else?
The name is Buffini, right? An Irish with an Italian name, Buffini.com, and go there and you can find everything you need.
How much was that domain? I always ask people who have good domains.
So here's the deal. Believe it or not, when we started, some guy in England who was an investment banker, whose last name was Buffini. So we were Buffini and Company for 25 years, which is a real pain to have to type that out.
That is a big domain.
And for whatever reason, and I asked him, he wanted $1 million. And I said, fine, I like and. And so for whatever reason, he let it drop. He let it drop and I bought it for $5,200.
He let it drop?
Yeah.
He just didn't renew it?
Well, finders, weepers, hey, you not a smart guy. I mean, you just needed to come to me with a better offer. Yeah. And he let it drop. And my guys we have lots of domains and trademarks and whatever else.
You saw it pop up.
And they bought it for $5,200. And
dang.
So now we're Buffini.com. It's a lot easier.
Dang, that's a good one to get. I've tried to buy Pineda.com, but he don't want to sell.
He will. Just hang tough.
Just hang with him.
Hang tough.
But I got RyanPineda.com and I got that way before I was anybody for $900. So that was good.
Yeah. So where do I send people to? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I mean, for anyone who wants to do flipping and wholesaling, wealthyinvestor.com.
Okay.
So
right. I mean, we have a giant amount of realtors who'd probably benefit. Some of them would benefit.
Yeah, we got a ton of realtors that we help out.
Great. So I'm sure.
That's great. Awesome. Well, guys, go check them out, especially if you are a realtor. They are the top coaching company in the entire world. Like you just said, 3 million people done, $1 billion in sales. The results don't lie. So go check them out and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.